December the 4th, 2021. Guys, you're looking at a piece of software that many of you seen in a lot of the Bible videos that we talk about on this channel, and it's called eSword. And for a PC, it's free to download this particular section of it, and I'm not sure about Androids and stuff like that, but it's called eSword, the electronic, the Word of the Lord with an electronic edge. But go to bpearthwatcher.com, scroll down on the right side, you'll see a blue box that says eSword, and you can download that. Again, it's not for all platforms yet, but if you got a PC, I'm pretty sure you can get it. Now, I'm going to start kind of in the middle of Mark 13 because we're going to go to a different book of the Bible. But I want to start here just to kind of lead into that so we understand what we're talking about. And guys, we're talking about the end times and the things that are coming about as we see them now, which I call the tribulation of man. Look at what man is doing to man. Then after that tribulation, you'll read it here. It's also, if you want it 3 times for reference, read Mark 13, Luke 21, and Matthew 24. It's the same story. And it's all told basically the same way. But I feel like we're definitely in the tribulation of man. Again, look what man has brought down upon the nations of the planet right now. And it says, "For in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of creation, which God created unto this time." And the question was, as they were over on the temple, on the side of the mountain, or the Temple Mount, and it was a private conversation between him and some of their disciples, and they asked him, "What will be the signs of your return?" That led to this conversation. So go there, read the entire chapter 13, and do yourself a favor. He said, again, "For in those days there shall be affliction such as not was from the beginning of the creation which God created unto this time, neither shall be, and except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened those days. And then if any man shall say to you, Lo, here is Christ, or Lo, he is there, believe him not." He's warning us now of the false Christ. That's what the next verse is. "For false Christ and false prophets shall rise, and shall show wonders, and signs and wonders to seduce, even if it were possible, even the elect. But take you heed, behold, I have foretold you all things." And this is not their first conversation. But that word to seduce is also used in the Greek in the actual definition of, instead of Eve eating an apple, you may want to understand that word in the Greek is wholly seduced. And so the same techniques, the same MO, same mode of operation, all of it has not changed. It's just in a different time. And that's what we're looking at now. Again, this is not the wrath of God. This is the tribulation of man. And I always say by man. It says, "But in those days after the tribulation." What does that word say? After the tribulation, not before it. It says, "The sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers in the heavens shall be shaken." Not just here on earth. All of the creation. "And then they shall see the Son of Man in the clouds with great power and glory." Coming in the clouds with great power and glory. What is that great power and glory? That's why we're going to switch books in just a moment. It's very important. So, again, guys, any way you want to put it, or any way you want to define the way that the timing in the Bible is that suits your needs, that's up to you. But all I can say is what it says here. And we're going to see the coming of the Son of the Man with great power and glory. Those are 2 powerful words. I know one of them is power, but that glory, that he has some very good company. "But the sun will be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light." We're going to find out about that in just a moment. "And then he shall send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven." There's a parable thrown in here, and we're going to go ahead and throw it in this lesson. Learn a parable of the fig tree. Most of you know it. When her branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, you know the summer's near. So you in like manner, when you shall see these things come to pass, know that it is nigh, even at the door. Verily I say unto you, that this generation, the generation of this fig tree, shall not pass till all things be done. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. And I think after this point, guys, the earth, maybe not exactly as we know it, will be here about 1,000 years. And we're going to enjoy quite a peaceful time during that 1,000 years that evil is locked up and Christ is teaching. But this fig tree, many, and I'm not an expert in Greek or Hebrew. I do understand how the words have been changed somewhat. But many say that blooming of the fig tree has to do with Israel becoming a nation again. And you look back into there, we're very close to the end of that generation. What was it? Actually happened in 46 and 47. It was officially declared, I think, in 48. So you look at the years from that point, we're definitely at the end of that generation. Now it says, but of that day and that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven. And they're very important in this coming glory and power, you'll see. Neither the Son, but the Father. It says, take ye heed, watch and pray, for you know not when the time is. For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house and gave authority to his servants. Are you one of those? And to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch ye therefore, for you know not when the master of the house cometh, at evening, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. It's time for everyone to wake up and realize where we're at. Now I want to talk about Christ coming in this power and glory for a minute, and the fact that, and the reason that many men's hearts will fail them. Now guys, something I want to mention about the software as we switch back to the Old Testament in the book of Isaiah, also chapter 13, is that we're looking at the King James. You have a choice of several different versions, but here if you click right there in the top left, it says KJV, plus. It's going to give you in this case, a set of numbers with H in front of them, of the number, because we're in Hebrew. In the New Testament, it will give you a G for Greek. But, and that will give you an idea of some of the translations. In other words, you can hover over that number. It will give you the meaning in the languages. You realize how important that is, plus a tremendous amount of other search features. Great software, especially free. But I'm going to back that out just so we can read through it. But you can go here, download the software if you don't already have it. Take your time and look at each word if you'd like. Look at what the people that wrote this were trying to convey in their language. Now, the judgment of Babylon. I hope you understand where we're going here, because the world now, especially the power in the world, is Babylon. And we're talking about the day that that's judged. So you got the tribulation of man. Christ said after that tribulation, you would see me coming with great glory and power. And that's the wrath of God. Christ is involved with that. It says, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Lift you up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones. Here is the glory and the power Christ was talking about in those letters of red in Mark 13. I have commanded my sanctified ones. This is God. I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, them that rejoice in my highness. He's not talking about the evil side. Remember, we have good and bad angels since the beginning. We had after the war, when Satan led a third of the angels against God. They lost that. They were cast down. This is a different group. This is the power and glory military regime that God is going to use to take out the evil on this planet very soon. We're not through the tribulation yet. The quicker that people's mind turn, the quicker I think that this process will end of this tribulation. Again, I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones from mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness, the noise of a multitude in the mountains. Like as a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms and nations gathered together, the Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. Think about that army. Think about Christ coming in that great power and glory, and look at the mighty angels. And guys, think about when Elijah was surrounded on the mountain, and his disciple was trembling in fear. The army had surrounded them overnight. And Elijah said a prayer and said, Lord, open the eyes of my disciple and let him see your army. And he did. That veil was parted for a moment, and they looked around, and behind the army that had surrounded them, the army of man, like the tribulation of man, the veil was open, and they saw hundreds and hundreds of chariots of fire. And guys, you know, I hope you know from the other books, the Old Testament, that those are vehicles. Those are air vehicles that travel. And a lot of people that haven't studied this very well will say, well, all the UFOs and all of that, those are evil demons. Well, who is that Elijah saw behind the enemy in their chariots of fire? So that you're really wrong right off the bat, and you need to open your eyes. That's why I'm doing the video. You don't want your heart to fail you when this happens. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation. Now look, I said he had some mighty powerful company. Who's there? Even the Lord. And the weapons of his indignation. That's why they call it the wrath of God. To destroy the whole land. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. He shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. Unless you're awake, unless you're one of his chosen election, and unless you have proven yourself worthy by studying, then that way you know that this is coming. Now think about this. And they shall be afraid, pangs and sorrow shall hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one another. Their faces shall be as flames. And if you hover over that word flames, it's like highly polished brass or bronze. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger. The wrath of God. Why is he so mad? Look at what's going on this planet. To lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. Think about that. And look who wants to balance that scale on a different way. Karma's hell, isn't it, guys? And he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations therefore shall not give their light. This is important. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. When does this happen? In his going forth. When him, the angels, the powerful armies, the weapons of destruction, cloud the sky and block that light out. You think men's heart won't fail them after the lies they've been taught? And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogance of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. And there's some terrible things going on right now. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. More precious than that. The elite will be few. And Ophir was an area where the purest gold was. Therefore, I will shake the heavens. That's what I'm saying. It's not just an event that's going to happen here on earth, but the earth will feel it. It's going to be a galactic event at the least. Because Christ said, when I set my foot down on that mountain, this earth will get an earthquake like it's never had before. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger, the wrath of God. This is what's happening in just after Christ comes in Mark 13. And he shall be as the chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn his own people, and flee every one into his own land. People want to travel different places. And there's an old saying, guys, about bloom where you're planted. And people are going to wake up to that and realize that may have been one of the safer places now, unless you're in a big city or something like that. But a lot of people want to flee overseas or to Israel or somewhere. It says here, and it shall be as the chased roe, as a sheep that no man taketh up, that shall every man turn his own people, and flee every one into his own land. Every one that is found shall be thrust through, and every one that is joined to them shall fall by the sword. Their children shall also be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. And you say, that's pretty rough. God is going to use some people that I don't think he thinks a lot of, but he uses who he may, and he's going to have an army here on the ground that will do his bidding also. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, and they will not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. That's not what this is about. And so many people now think, well, why in the world is this company doing this? Why are they losing employees over certain mandates and things like that? Because no longer does that matter, guys. We're way beyond that. Think about it. Their bows also shall dash the young man to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. In Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And if you read it more into chapter 13 in Mark, where we were at, you can see, he says, don't go back down. Don't get your coat. Don't run back in the house. That's the same thing that was said at Sodom and Gomorrah. Don't turn and look back. Things are fixing to change very quickly. And I think that will have a lot to do with people wanting to get back to their lands, because certain areas are going to be hit harder than others. This Babylon goes back a long way. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. Now, guys, think about where Babylon is today. Every nation. Every nation. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and the houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. The earth is not destroyed. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, dragons in their pleasant places, and her time is near to come. He's talking about Babylon. And her days shall not be prolonged. Very quickly coming. And guys, the reason it's talking about the sun and the moon darkening and the constellations, with that army that's coming, the same army that Elijah saw around that mountain behind his enemy, is on its way back. This time Christ is not coming to heal. Although you may call getting that refiner's hammer on you silver and gold wise, that will be a blessing in many cases. But this is a war, and the war is being waged against us right now, but the man in charge is getting ready to darken the skies with this massive army. And so, guys, if you think it's going to actually be people riding in on clouds and shooting bow and arrows from there, you're sadly mistaken. They're going to be using weapons of mass destruction. That's also in the Old Testament. Weapons, those words, weapons of mass destruction. there's going to be no pity except for God's elect. But guys, it's important that you understand there's a narrative about UFOs, or unidentified flying objects, regardless of where you think they come from. I think they all have the possibility, and more than likely can go between dimensions, just as Christ could walk through a wall. They could appear where they wanted, when they needed to, like cloaking. Okay? That is how this is going to happen. That is what's going to shake the heavens. That is what it says when he comes forth with that army. All of these events happen. Everything's darkened. And so be prepared for that. Understand the word. It's easy to do it. Don't put a pre-assumed idea on what this is going to turn out, on what it's going to be when you read it. Just lay back like you've never read it before and let the words speak for themselves. And again, the tools in the software can help with that quite a bit. Guys, we're in that tribulation of man. We're going to see things that no man has ever seen before. And if those days weren't shortened, none of us, no flesh would survive. But there's a lot of people on this planet now that have went to the dark side. A lot of them. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.